Today I'm going to talk about benefits of having uniforms in schools. Uniforms are a necessity in schools which can help increase focus and minimize peer and industry pressure on kids. The pressure to conform to peers and fashion industries places an unwarranted financial burden on family budgets, and hence the prescribed student wardrobes helps eliminate this competition and allows the attention to the student to be directed to learning and growing. Wearing the same type of dress reduces social snobbery and peer pressure in educational settings. Uniforms foster improved relations between teachers and students. Uniforms give students a feeling of loyalty and power of sense of community. Having school-age children of my own and seeing the difference myself with one child going to middle school in uniform and the other going to school in regular clothes speaks volumes. I spend more on my high schooler. He's always worried about looks and needs new clothing every other week, as compared to my middle school child who does not have to worry about this issue and is ready in a few minutes and off to school. Her performance at school is better than my older daughter's, and I have never had distraction issues with her. Research shows the same results, proving increased focus and less hassle with uniforms in school than without. My daughter, who is being homeschooled, came up to me asking to put her in the school with my daughter in middle school, which also has a high school. And the reason she gave me was that she feels she does not have enough clothes and a suitable wardrobe to fit in the district high school. The solution she gave: I should buy her more clothes that are also branded before high school begins. We all have children, and those who don't might have friends with children. Uniforms in school can help children concentrate more on studies than on who is looking better. It can also take away a huge burden of parents by reducing clothing expenses. Wearing the same type of dress reduces social snobbery and peer pressure in education institutions. This is a comment by Pan C.S. According to Harold Nett, school uniforms bridge the socioeconomic gap between students. They set a professional tone for learning and help students' self-esteem. Also, it provided evidence that schools in California and elsewhere that have adopted uniform reports less truancy, gang and drug activity. They report more order and better behavior in the classrooms, creating environments more conducive to learning. Then, according to a famous retailer called Dickies, uniforms usually reduces the competition among students to wear certain and nearly always expensive brands of clothing. Over 75% of schools in uniform noted a reduction in peer pressure among their students after adopting a uniform policy. Uniforms foster improved relations between teachers and students. For instance, according to free online directory articles, many think that school uniforms help maintain school discipline, decreasing the amount of discipline problems. The argument is that children today are lacking in self-discipline because parents refuse to discipline them. This makes it more difficult on the teacher who has to deal with classes of 25 to 30 students at a time. Additionally, Dickey surveyed facts provided by the National Association of Elementary School Principals and an NDP group, stating that teachers surveyed say that uniforms promote a down-to-business approach, which means kids view uniforms as work clothes and take school more seriously. 52% of principals surveyed said that uniforms had a positive effect on student achievement. Furthermore, according to Dr. Cheney from the Davidson Academy in Nashville, Tennessee, research finds that teachers think their students are more respectful when they are in uniform. Just as when adults put on their work clothes, students that put on uniforms are automatically in work mode, ready to begin their schoolwork and recognizing the authority of their boss or teachers. Educators also tend to have higher expectations of students that are dressed for success. As a result, students work harder to live up to these expectations. Uniforms give students a feeling of loyalty and power and sense of community. Consequently, another comment about pros of uniform by Dr. Cheney from the Davidson Academy: by taking away a major point of competition, uniforms help students identify with one another. This translates in more successful classroom group activities. Also, as a whole, school unity is promoted by a culture that focuses on group instead of the individual. In conclusion, school uniforms will help alleviate the everyday stress of trying to fit in. The benefits of school uniforms include improved discipline, more focus on learning, reduced crime and gang violence, development of a sense of community and pride in the school, less pressure on the pockets of parents to provide with expensive clothing, and less peer pressure on children to compete. Although contenders would argue that wearing a uniform to school hampers students' individuality and discriminates against freedom of expression, I believe individuality comes from within and through performance. What matters is how that individuality can be preserved and how we as a community can help advocate what is right for our children. Based on the facts we heard today and that we have experienced, it is time for us to think about what is best for our children. A bright future full of accomplishments, or a trendy future with competition, where competition is the norm. The choice is yours. Thank you. Farah Jamal.
You just messed up.